Okay, so
Get this.
you know how we buy games on Steam all the time?
Right.
Turns out we haven't actually been buying them at all.
Yeah, this article from PC Gamer points out something.
Most people probably just gloss over, that little box you tick.
Oh, yeah?
Agreeing to Steam's subscriber agreement
Mm-hmm.
buried in that.
Legal jargon
Yeah.
is the reality of what we're really getting,
A license to play.
not ownership of the game itself.
And what's wild is that Steam is putting this disclaimer.
Front and center now.
Right.
Not even hiding it in the fine print. It's like they're saying, hey.
Just so you know, you're basically renting this digital experience.
Yeah, this isn't exactly
News licensing software is standard practice, but
seeing it spelled out so plainly.
for something like game ownership, it does make you stop and think.
Yeah.
And for some, it might even burst that bubble of what it means to own a game.
In the digital age.
Right. Like
That-
imagine explaining this to someone.
Who grew up with shelves full of game cartridges?
And CDs.
Oh.
They'd probably think we're nuts.
This goes way beyond just forgetting your password and needing a reset.
Right.
We're talking about potentially losing access to games.
You've poured hours into maybe even...
Shifting a small fortune on.
And that's not just a hypothetical situation. The article mentions cases of gamers getting banned from Steam.
For various reasons.
Some more understandable than others.
And losing their entire game libraries.
Wow.
All those achievements, all that progress vanished.
It's enough to make you want to dust off that old Super Nintendo.
And this issue of losing access.
To games you thought you owned.
Yeah.
Is exactly what blew up recently.
With Ubisoft shutting down online services.
For some of their older titles.
Yeah, the backlash from gamers was pretty huge.
Imagine booting up a game you own.
Only to find out you can't play it anymore.
Right.
Because the publisher pulled the plug. Talk about a harsh wake-up call.
It really highlights the difference
Between owning a physical copy
and having a license for a digital one.
Mm,
This move by Steam with their disclaimer.
it could be their way.
Getting out in front of potential legal battles down the line.
Oh, really?
Especially with legislation.
Like California's law forcing companies to be more upfront.
About digital ownership.
So they're playing it safe.
Knowing this whole digital ownership thing
Right.
is a bit of a legal minefield. And here's the kicker.
While Steam is busy clarifying what we don't own,
GOG seizes the opportunity to remind everyone.
that they do things a little differently.
Right. GOG's whole model revolves around DRM-free games and offline installers.
They even fired off a pretty cheeky tweet highlighting this.
Oh, really?
Almost like they were saying, hey, over here, we give you actual control over your games.
It was a savvy move, for sure. While everyone's freaking out about the Steam thing.
GOG swoops in as the champion of gamers' rights.
The cool indie bookstore in a world of digital superstores.
But it begs the question, is this difference between Steam and GOG just about ideology?
Or are there actual practical consequences for gamers?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
On the one hand, Steam offers incredible convenience.
A massive library of games at your fingertips. But with that convenience comes a trade-off.
You're locked into their ecosystem, subject to their rules.
And ultimately, you don't truly own the games you pay for.
It's like choosing between a sleek, all-inclusive resort.
And a charming, independently run hotel. Both offer a place to stay.
But the experience and level of control are completely different.
So where does that leave us, the players?
As our gaming libraries grow increasingly digital, are we all slowly becoming renters?
Right.
In a digital kingdom at the whims of platforms and publishers.
It's a question that has been simmering for a while now, actually.
The article mentions a Hacker News thread.
From way back in 2012, where this very debate was already raging.
Oh, wow.
It seems the issue of digital ownership,
Is something we haven't quite figured out yet.
even as our reliance on digital content skyrockets.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. We're entrusting these companies.
With larger and larger chunks of our entertainment, even our cultural heritage in a way. But the question of who really owns it.
It's still up in the air.
And the answer might not be as black and white as we'd like.
This Steam situation, as unsettling as it might seem at first.
Could be the catalyst for a larger conversation, maybe even a push.
For new models of digital ownership? Imagine a future.
Where digital ownership comes with more user control, more permanence.
Maybe even the ability to pass down your digital library like you could with physical copies.
Now that would be a game changer.
And who knows, maybe this renewed focus on digital ownership.
Could lead to a resurgence in physical media instead of being relics of the past.
Limited edition physical copies could become even more sought after.
Right.
Not for nostalgia's sake.
But because they represent true ownership in an increasingly intangible world.
It's certainly a possibility.
Right.
One thing is clear, though.
The future of digital ownership is far from settled.
What we consider owning something in the digital space is still being defined,
Mhm.
and it's a conversation that deserves our attention.
So what do you think, listener, does this knowledge about digital ownership?
Change how you feel about your Steam library. Is it a
Yeah.
deal breaker for you?
Or is the convenience of these platforms worth the trade-off
It's a question worth pondering the next time you click purchase.
on that shiny new game? Until next time, keep asking the tough questions.
And dive deep.